Oh, there. There's the button.
Live on the YouTube. Perfect. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Shugi's live
Hello.
on YouTube. And she's back on track. Right, Shugi? You want to let everybody know that you're feeling better.
Yeah, she's a much happier girl today, you can see.
Did have an odd thing. Yeah, yesterday I was thinking about Romeo and his the fact that he has so little balance because of what they did to his feathers. And I don't know, I hadn't found this before, but I took a large piece of cardboard and threw it in his cage and some toys on it. Yeah, that worked really well. This morning it took me a half an hour to get him his medication. He refused. He wanted to play down there. So he doesn't like walking on the bars. So I've got to put some kind of tray down there and put toys on it for him with cardboard in it. But he's playing on it. When I left him, he was chewing the cardboard and walking around chewing on the wood, which he usually doesn't do. So he plays with his toys, but not that much. He's all excited about having the cardboard in there.
Has his balance improved at all, or is it just as bad as it ever was?
And it's just as bad as it ever was. I was talking to another person who's a rescuer she was the one that ran the Tucson Avian Rescue before went bye bye. But she said, "Well, there's got to be some way to work with it." I said, "Well, the way you would normally do it is slightly unbalance the bird with your hand while you're holding them, that kind of thing. That doesn't work with him. He just falls over and then he gets all upset. So you have to be careful not to unbalance him. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
he's a
lot of
delicate boy.
yes, and she's better on flat surfaces than on perches, which I'm thinking about making him a flat perch to stand on, which I can do. I have the um, screw bolts that you can screw into the wood and then bolt it to the side of the cage, so I can take a flat piece of wood and see if that's what he wants to stand on. Okay, sugar, I can't just pet you all day. Yeah. Yeah. What was that look? What was that look? Hmm? Lorelai, what are you doing down there? You've knocked all the paper on the floor now. Are you happy? Are you
I think
happy?
she's in shoe chewing position.
I can't keep paper in that tray. But ever since Cecil ripped it out that one day, anyone who goes by the tray decides to pull the paper out. Snowball did it yesterday. Lorelai today. Yeah, it's okay. I can clean the tray. It's not quite as easy as cleaning pulling the paper out and putting the paper in, but that's okay. That's what they want to do. See, she's breathing normally now, so. Hey, you.
Oh,
That's my shoe. I
yeah,
wouldn't chew on.
that's probably the main goal.
Yeah.
Lorelei, a distinct shoe hunter, undressed.
Yeah. What are you laughing about? She's
The shoes in the wild have no chance when Lorelei is out there.
it's Lucy taking a break, and
Oh,
there's
Jasmine. Hardly to see,
Jazz.
but
Yeah, everybody sees her sitting there, but when the videos I put up, she does that. I could have done clips on her last night 5 or 6 times. She was flapping her wings and running around and acting like a crazy bird.
Mhm.
Doesn't look like it though when you look at her. Doesn't look like one of our meetings. She just, I'm gonna sleep through this. Uh-oh, now don't you do it. No, Snowball. Snowball, you don't want to get Lorelei in that mood. No, Lorelei. Not a good move on your part, Snowball. Come here, Lorelei. Come here. Now, I have to get you away from him because if he comes out from underneath that paper, she'll attack him.
Peekaboo.
Which is what the topic is today is parrot personalities, right?
Maybe we want to greet some chatters first. So Lisa Banerjee is here. She was the first one, even before every moderator. So hello, Lisa. Good to see you. Then we have Jocelyn Triggle here, Falcon Zoo, and Calvin Thurston. So hello to everybody out there. Also to the people who prefer just to watch and not to chat. We also
Hello,
appreciate
everyone.
you to be here, but when you have the feeling you have a question or something, put the thing in the chat so we can read it to Don. So we are always happy to hear from you and from your birds or other pets.
Yep.
Lorelei, don't get Lorelei. No. We're not going to get. Now, calm down. You're a little too happy about preening. You need to calm down a bit. You can preen, but not when you're going to act like a vampire. You know? Don't get upset with me for pulling you out of there. You were just too wound up. Yeah. I know. Because I was getting preened. Yeah, by a maniac. You can preen him if you want, but just be slow about it, gentle about it. That's better. You don't need to ram your head all around it. You're getting too intense. Calm down. Calm it. Calm down. That's better. Psychopath. Yes, you are. All right. You're okay for a few minutes. Ah, Snowball, I know you're under there somewhere. There he is. That's Snowball. He's playing. Can you read my mind? Do you realize I'm going to try to get the iPad out? This is Sugar's iPad. It's not mine, but
Yes, you have heard right. Sugar's iPad.
yep,
She lets
that
him
is.
borrow it.
Sugar and I, we are iPad besties.
She's looking like, what are you doing with my iPad, dude?
Ooh, that was a heavy lightning. We have a thunderstorm outside. So if I'm suddenly gone, German internet broke.
I would hope it would be the internet and not a lightning strike on your house.
No, don't hope so.
I read on, I don't know where it was, somewhere on Telegram on one of the channels, somebody was standing outside and they walked across the yard in a thunderstorm and they got hit by the lightning and that was it. They were done. Somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
They
you just
snowball.
never know. It's like a bolt out of the blue.
But there have been people who've been hit by lightning 7 or 8 times.
Mm. Happens now all the time, but I'm not outside.
So we're going to talk about
We have,
different.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We starting to. Go ahead.
We just got a question in by Jocelyn Triggle who wants an update on the Monday topic. She's asking, how's the wing?
It's pretty much healed up. At this point, she would have to intentionally like rip into the skin to cause the problems, and she's not doing that. She's just ignoring it now. Probably tomorrow I'll get rid of whatever stain is on her feathers using hydrogen peroxide, but she's not showing any interest in it anymore. Yeah, parrot personalities, and done some research on it. I was, oh, good grief, you could write a book on parrot personalities. There's so much to talk about, but they're not like they're not like dogs and cats. Most dogs and cats are going to have fairly specific species or breed specific. There are no breeds of parrots, but um, they'll have species or breed specific behavior, dogs and cats. But and there is a little bit of that. I mean, the serum cockatoos tend to be more a little less cuddly. Depends on the one, you know. I mean, you've got if you have Jazz on your lap, she's gonna want to cuddle. But right now she's over there sleeping, where the umbrellas tend to hang around you one way or another. So it's important to know species specific behavior. I know there was a couple I knew that they would whenever their female cockatoo would get overstimulated, it would vibrate, which is what they do, right? And they called it sweaty bird. They had absolutely no idea what the bird was doing or why it was doing it. So if you don't know that you're overstimulating a bird, that can be a problem, obviously. So hence the term they use, sweaty bird. No clue at all that's what happens if you don't have any background. So you do need to know these species specific behaviors. Some of them are not even so species specific. If you see a cockatoo or an Amazon or a macaw raise the feathers on the back of their neck, it's kind of like a dog when a dog does that. Although when a dog does that raising of the fur on the back of the neck, it's almost always an indication of violence. But with these guys, that is more of it's an aggressive response, but it can be for a number of different reasons. But I certainly don't reach over and pet a bird that has the feathers on the back of their neck up. And if they got the feathers all over their body pulled out like a grouse, that's fine. But when it's just the feathers there, look at the eyes and see if they're round or oval. If they're oval, let's not pet the bird right then. You know? But that's species specific behavior. So you need to know that. But again, unlike with dogs and cats, the personality traits in these guys are quite different. When you look over at Jasmine, when I'm doing a video online, she'll sit over there and be quiet. As soon as I put the phone down, and it's obvious we're not doing this, I'm not over here speaking to midair, which must look pretty strange to them anyway. She's going to be usually sitting over there. Once I stop, she'll come over and sit either up here or over there on one of those two places. And she'll be trying to get over on my lap, even though generally speaking, KK is over here and he's not happy about that. I can get her over here now without him being aggressive, but still working on making that perfect. But Snowball, he likes to play with toys, and he's a big toy boy. He also has some other things, like when I give him his medicine in the morning, I have to come back and take him out of the cage and hold him for a while and talk to him. Otherwise, you can tell he'll go brood somewhere in his cage and just sit and look at me like, why didn't you pet me? It's only happened once or twice. That I know that behavior's there because I've seen him do it. But he'll sit, and then if you offer him peanut butter while he's trying to play, he won't take it. He has a certain specific perch he likes to sit on, or he'll sit on a frisbee. You get it? And I'm only talking about a couple of his traits. He has a lot of personality traits. Don't you, big boy? Don't you? Have a lot of personality traits? Yeah, their personalities are pretty complicated. I'm just hitting a couple of highlights with him. But so to learn species-specific behavior, the best thing is to hit the books. Look at the manual. The Manual of Parrot Behavior by Lucier is where you want to go for a detailed overview of species. And you can start in different chapters. You don't have to read it from beginning to end. You can look at different things. If you have a young bird, which we hope you don't buy birds, but if you're adopting a young bird, then you need to look at the sections that deal with adolescent birds, because their behaviors are a little different. Just like a 14-year-old kid's behaviors are different, right? When those things are going on. So, and there's differences in species, like with as with the African gray, it tends to be more vocal, because in the wild it imitates predators. That's how it scares them away. So, where with cockatoos, they tend to scare them away by yelling at them, and they can yell pretty loud. And if they won't leave, then they just fly away without a pattern to the way they fly. So it confuses a predator. The predator doesn't know what to attack. So again, that's a species behavior. And there's other factors. How are they raised? I mean, these guys are all raised in captivity. So maybe this one was wildcat. Huh, Shug? Were you wildcat? That's the look. Like, is he going to preen me while he's talking? Probably not. This one, and her behaviors have changed over time too, and they do. You'll find that most dogs and cats have pretty much the same behaviors, at least 90% the same behavior over time. That's not going to be true of a parrot. So with her, she didn't play with toys when I first got her, and now she demands that I make sure she has new toys, and they have to have finger traps on them and other things she can chew on, vine rings and that kind of stuff. If they don't, then she's going to stand by the toy and look at me. She gives me a certain look, like this is something wrong here. She lets me know she wants an updated toy. So, and that might be a half hour after I put a toy up. Where before I would rotate toys around the cages, and when she'd get a new toy and she would show no interest in it. But now she's definitely interested in toys, and she's playing in her cage quite a bit. That's different than the way she was. So once you learn what their behaviors are, cream. Once you learn a behavior, it may change on you. So be aware of that. And things that you do in the environment can cause it to change too. You guys, let's not get too Lorelai, calm down a bit. You don't have to preen that intently. Intense little girl. So there's everything from someone like Romeo, who is basically an introvert, He prefers his calm, quiet environment, likes his television on, but he doesn't like a lot of action going on around him. So, and he's introverted because he's physically damaged by a veterinarian. Um, I would give that a 99% because what do you think? You think a bird's going to hatch and it's going to have the two exact same feathers on each side of its body missing? No, actually four. There's two on the left and two on the right that or they don't come in. So the other thing is that when he forms a relationship with someone, and this is true of most of the introverted birds, once they form a relationship, it's a strong relationship. Pip is a good example of that. I mean, from what I heard, she hadn't had any strong relationships with anybody, but she bonded with me when she first saw me, and she's intent on me. I have to make sure that I talk to her I do with all the birds, but if I were to just forget to talk to her, if something happened and I didn't get back, then you can see it on her face sometime that what's going on, what's wrong. She has that look on her face. So the introverts tend to bond, and you have to be careful with them because if they bond strongly to you, they may try to chase other birds away. Um, and there's extroverts like Babalu, always wanting to be the center of attention. Right? And I brought him in last night, and Sugar didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay in here, which is rare. Usually she wants to go and eat. So as soon as I got in the door, he made this noise that sounded like a car engine dying. The second he saw her, he went like, it was almost like he was going to throw up, uh, because he didn't want another bird in here that might take some of my attention away from him. And I was giving him all the attention, but it didn't make a difference. He kept looking at her and looking at her. He's got issues. He's to the point where he's an extrovert that expects me to give him 100% of my attention. And I think that's because of his physical problems right now too. But so he needs a lot of stimulation, extroverts do. So there's a lot of toys in his cage, things for him to play with. And then he'll tear up his perches to get my attention. He does things just to get my attention. I have to stop when I go by his cage, and it's on the way in and out. So I have to stop for a second and talk to him, or he starts throwing his toys around. Well, they used to walk by him. That's an example of how our different interactions with birds can cause problems. Because he was at a veterinary hospital, and they would walk by him when they were going to get a dog to walk the dog, and then they'd walk by him again with the dog. So he got ignored, and now he's just constantly wanting attention. So if you've got an extrovert, you want to keep their attention fixed on things, because if they become bored and want attention, they're not getting it, then they can become demanding like Bob is. And you'd think I could put him in with Sugar, who would just sit there and ignore him, basically, and he would do okay, but he doesn't. He has a fit the second he saw her. By the time we were in here for about a half an hour, he was finally playing with toys instead of staring at her. So keep those extroverts, keep them busy. Now there's the intellectuals like Lorelei. Lorelei, she's highly intelligent. She's highly um, she's intelligent and she's curious. So this is the one that stole my earpiece by stealing my glasses first. And she'll get on the floor and act like she's playing with a toy just so she can turn around and bite my shoes. So she plans things out. And whenever she sees something new in the environment, she goes after it. I've got her tied up with him right now, so she's not going after the iPad. But once she decides she's done enough preening, she'll probably try to figure out how she can get the iPad. And then Sugar will have to defend it. Right, Sugar? It's almost like you're taught when we're talking about this. It's almost like basic psychology, right? The different types of personalities, but you've got an emotional parrot, the one that is a good example is this one. I mean, he's busy. He's an athlete, but at the same time, if you don't give him attention, if you don't play with him, then he gets moody and he starts sitting around in his cage. Where Bob is an extrovert, he'll try to tear everything up, rip up the rip up the perches, so you have to put new perches in. I mean, anything to get my attention. This one will sit and just be moody. So, won't you? Won't you? Won't you, big boy?
If
You're
you
such a
want to
good.
talk about them in terms of psychology, we can rate each parrot on their big five traits. Because there's the five personality traits, which you can remember by the acronym OCEAN. So it's openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Neuroticism, that would be Bob. He is definitely on another planet. But yeah, you can rate him by that too. Definitely. Um, then there's you see this in a lot of Amazons, the independent parrot. I'm I've got cockatoos here, so that isn't so common, but um, although Jasmine does tend to be a little bit on the independent side. And right now she's just, I'm out of this. I don't like this particular thing, so I'm going to sleep. And
Like the pink ones are more independent generally.
yeah, most of them are. That's a species thing there too. But with her, this one right here likes to be close. She wouldn't sit that just as far as Jasmine is away from me. But she wants to be close and she wants to get her big pet frequently. Jasmine will, go off and be independent like that and ignore me while I'm doing something that she's not interested in. And then all of a sudden once she determines it's time to come over and play, then she'll demand attention.
Yeah,
So
even Peaches was very, very independent. If she was off doing something, then she wanted to do it.
Pippa's another fun one. It's hard to really peg her. Um, I'm trying to think I mean, she's independent in that I can take her into the kitchen and put her on a perch, or she'll fly in. Sometimes she just flies into the kitchen. I take her out of her cage, and she flies up to the perch. But and she'll play by herself for a while. But she is independent. But if you don't give her attention, she also has that emotional parrot side where if I walk by her and I don't say good morning and pip 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 and make that sound out of it she likes to hear. Oh, you know that one, don't you? Yeah, that's what Pippa makes, and she's in the cage right next to him. So
Snowball. He likes the pip.
he does. Well, you know, Pip and him, they both got along until I brought out the frisbees in here, and since then they haven't gotten along. If
Their
I take the
rivalry is
first,
just too intense.
yeah, he hasn't been playing with them that much in here, so I might take them out and see if I can bring her back into the room. See how that works out. I might try that later, but so anybody who's had dogs, I had dogs when I was a kid. I had one dog when I was in my 20s. Um, they're pretty straightforward. Most dogs, if you bring out food and you haven't trained them not to, they'll run right over and want food. Food, 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 food. Yeah, some parrots aren't like that at all. No. When they are like that is when you walk into the living room. Well, and I don't do this often, but if you got a bag of like no salt, they make them no salt corn chips or something like that. The second you open a bag of corn chips, boy, they're all looking at you. Like, okay, do I get some? Do I get some? Hey, that's it. No, 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 no. Oh, no. Come here. Get up here. Get up on the rope. Come here. Come on. No, you want on the floor. Okay. That's what eventually happens. They have a little misunderstanding. Usually happens like that. You leave him alone. Laurel, I know. And they can change from, watch it now, they can change from introverts to extroverts. They can change from extroverts to introverts, depending on how you're dealing with them. So if they're not being shown enough attention, they can become extroverts in that they'll be demanding attention, demanding, or they can just go into start ignoring the world, which is not a good thing, become an introvert. So a lot of that has to do with how we deal with them and how they were brought up by other humans. Lorelei was a follower. She followed around. And then when she started living with Chloe, she followed around after Chloe. Hi, Lorelei. My baby. My baby girl. Is that my baby girl? Hey, baby girl. And she's funny too because she hardly plays with toys. And no matter how much I try to get her to play with toys, she'll chew off the finger traps and then leave the wood alone. And then maybe one day she'll take a couple of pieces off the wood. But when she gets in here, that's when she plays. Right, girl? When you're in here or the aviary, she plays. See yourself? That's a Lorelei. That's a Lorelei. The baby girl? She prefers baby girl to Lorelei. It's probably because whenever she's doing something wrong, I say, Lorelei. Right?
And she does wrong things often because she's a cheeky little minx.
Yep. She's a curious girl. Things you can do too to start to understand it. You have to try to you have to understand them in different circumstances and what their behavior is. So you have to just learn to observe them. So when you're observing Snowball, you'll see him watching other birds. He likes to do that, and then playing with toys. And then he's got his quirks, like how he likes his treats. You try to give him a treat when he just wants to be petted, and he kind of backs away from you, like you don't understand me or something. You watch. It's always good to watch how they play. You can set up a camera and just kind of go back over 2 or 3 hours of what they do in their cage while they're in their cage. You can learn a lot. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing. You just fast forward to where their action is, and then look and say, well, they sat there for 20 minutes and did nothing, and then they played for 10 minutes, and that teaches you. Maybe you need more toys in the cage, something to get their attention. Learning what they mean by their vocalizations too. So when Bob wants out, he makes a certain honking sound. When it's another sound, it's a sound of there's a hawk. He's telling me there's a predator in the environment. When he wants food, it's Bob, Bob, Bob. So learn from their vocalizations and learn when they do them. In the morning, to get my attention, he'll say good morning. And he didn't get much attention when he was at that animal hospital. So if he's really upset, he says, doesn't feel like he's getting his way. He'll say Becca, because that was the only one who gave him any attention there on a regular basis. And then learn the body language. There's a good example of one right there. He's that's his voyeuristic body. He's now watching to see what Lorelai is doing. And she was just a little overstimulated, so she's calming down, but he's watching her. He was watching this one. What are you gonna do? I didn't get to clean the wood up yesterday, so it's still. Oh, you're gonna chew the feather that's down there? Mm-hmm. That's a frightened feather, brown feather. What are you doing? The body language tells you a lot. I mean, you can tell Jasmine's body language right now. I'm sleeping. Sugar's body language, more or less, it's ready, just going to hang out until I'm ready to pet Beats again. So, you can check to see if they're puffed up, if their the crest is up. With Amazons or true parrots, you can see if they're pinning their eyes. You got to wonder what happens when they pin their eyes, what it's like inside their head. How does the brain react to having, their focus changed in the world when they do that? I don't think anybody's really studied that. So, and with Snowball, he has a certain way of holding his body when he wants you to play with him. If you walk by his cage and you see that, and you don't do something like toss him a frisbee or play with him a little bit, then he will go and sit on his perch and kind of ignore the world. So, got to watch that body language. So you can learn from them by their body language, whether they're feeling aggressive or they're excited or they're feeling comfortable. They often put their feathers, cover up the lower beak with their feathers when they're comfortable. When they're afraid, if I had known that about Lorelai, which I didn't at the time, I wouldn't have made the mistake of trying to put her back in her cage. Right, Lorelai? When there was a hawk outside your window? Yeah. That did not work. She likes looking out the window. Most don't. She likes looking out the window and seeing things, but not hawks. Stop it, Lorelai. So different personality types need different kinds of things. If you got an introverted parrot, it may need more uh, quiet time, and you may need to touch the bird less. Extroverted times, birds might need more interaction, more playtime, different environments to play in, that kind of thing. This one, and Little Miss Intellectual here, you got to find new ways to stimulate her because she becomes bored with toys within a few minutes of them being put in her cage. She'd rather be out and interacting with other birds and me. She's a social bird, so. But she takes the training pretty well. She learned all the veterinary things that I trained the birds to do in just like a week. Didn't take her any time at all. And there's ones that are that are emotional birds like Romeo that they just need a calm environment and stability, so they don't become anxious or get stressed out. And even umbrella cockatoos have boundaries, that you don't want to cross. Umbrellas will tend to they'll sit right up on your shoulder and get right close to your face, that kind of thing. But with Lorelei, it's more, what are you putting in my cage? Those are boundaries I have with her. The things that I'm not allowed to do, like wear headphones. Don't chew the chair. Don't chew the chair. No, don't chew the chair. Don't chew the chair. There's other things to chew. If you chew through the chair, I'll fall on the floor. Big nuts. You want to come up again? All right. Yeah. What kind of bird are you? Well, he's a talkative bird. No, Lorelei. No, no, no. Lorelei, you're not listening. No, 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 no. Go on, get. KK is more of an introvert. He's made friends. Hmm?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
He's a pretty talkative introvert.
Yeah, he likes to talk, but when it comes to meeting birds, it took a long time to get him to accept other birds in his environment. And he's not introverted with me, but if you bring another human in, he really doesn't want the other human to pick him up. Takes a while for him to accept that. But big boy, you need more wood? You gotta get out there and cut up some more wood, but you can have that one. We've got plenty of wood out there, but when you come down to, I can make about 4 or 5 more toys. Outside and cut and drill. He's playful. As you can see, he's not exactly trying to get out there and be around other birds. Where Lorelei will stick her nose into everybody. He's not an introvert. So because they have such diverse personalities, you have to tailor each your treatment of each bird accordingly, and it's not easy. You like that piece of wood? Yeah. So with the true parrots, usually you train them to go play by themselves. Excuse me, you train them to step up. And with cockatoos, you train them to go play by themselves. And for KK, that is pretty close to playing by himself right there. It's right next to me, and he's chewing a piece of wood. So. But he just gets down on the floor. Whenever he gets down there, I encourage him to stay down there usually. So I get a little farther from me. So some birds you need to create a safe space for because when you first encounter them, they're not happy with being around humans. That was true of Marley, the Amazon man. And it showed up as aggression, but just creating a safe space for him, giving him treats as I walked by. That's come bearing gifts and doing calm attention. Within a couple of weeks, he was out in the aviary.
So we have a couple of new chatters. We have E. Schwartz here and Buktir Shah, who says, beautiful family, love you so much. So thanks for that, Buktir. And we have a question from E. Schwartz, who asks, what constitutes a true parrot?
Oh, that's easy. Anything that isn't a cockatoo. Cockatoos are not considered true parrots. It's just a name. It's a name they apply. True parrots don't have crests that rise up. There are physiological differences between one and the other. So Amazons, African greys, macaws, anything that is not a cockatoo is a true parrot. You could also say if it doesn't cling to you, it's not a true parrot. Although there are some parrots that are true parrots that are clingy. You won't see too many African greys like that, but hyacinth macaws in some ways act more like a cockatoo. They're a little more clingy and want a little more attention. It's basically physiological differences between cockatoos and true parrots. So with a true parrot, when they get excited, you see their eyes dilate. With a cockatoo, they raise their crest. So, and that's a big difference. I mean, the physiological difference between, pinning your eyes and raising your crest, although they're basically used for similar reasons. It's a big physiological difference. I'm not going to have time to go through everything that I put down here. So if you sign up on Patreon, which you can do for free, I have a long, it goes into a lot more detail than what I've gone into here. I deal with things like how to deal with a shy parrot and how to deal with an aggressive parrot and how to work with a bored parrot, but I don't have time to go into all that. So I'll put it up there. I'll also put it up on Telegram. So it's another place you can pick us up. Some of you might have actually heard of Telegram now that Pavel Durov was arrested in France, basically for nothing. He hasn't done anything. But I can post anything on that platform. I can post PDF documents, I can post text, pictures, video, everything there. But I'll put it up on both our Patreon and our Telegram channel. Right, Sugar? So, as a final note, as a caregiver to parrots, it's important to learn about their personalities, to be aware that they're going to change over time, to try to see what's making them change if they do start changing. A good example is lately Cecil has started being a little nippy when he wants attention. And what it really comes down to is he wants more attention. And he found a way to get it. So he's doing better since I moved Lorelei's cage next to his. But there are some personality changes there that I'm trying to work with. One, he's never been one to be overly needy, and now he seems to be so. In that he will keep trying to get my attention, and he wants me to pet him. And when they want you to pet them a lot, that can be a problem too, because it can overstimulate them. So Try your best to figure out all the little quirks, what they like, what they like to play. Basically, figure out what the different aspects of their life mean to them. How they react when you put food in the cage. I mean, that's a big difference. If I don't put Bob's wet food in his cage as the first bowl going out, he'll start going Bob, Babaloo, Bob, Babaloo, because he wants that food and he just won't stop. So I rearrange it so that he gets his food first, and then when Sugar was losing a little weight and stopped, she's okay now, and then the same thing started happening to Cecil. I put an extra one of my birdie bread in there. So, and then, that seemed to help them gain their weight back. But it's important to try to figure out how they act in different situations. Here's a good example. If Bob was in here right now, he would be trying to terrorize everyone. If I took him outside to some kind of event where there's a bunch of people, he'll be friendly to everybody. And if I have two birds with me, it's not a problem then. But if it's in a socialization room, he's got an issue with that. So, what are you doing? Oh no, you two. Lorelei, Snowball. I know you're just looking at her, but she doesn't see it that way. See, to him, he's just looking at her. But to her, he's being threatening. So he's got her crest up and the feathers on the back of him. Yoo-hoo, come here. No, leave. No, come here. Come here. Here, oh, baby. So if you can focus on learning and maintaining a good view of what's going on as best we can, what their personality is like, then you can, if they don't play with toys, you can work with it. If they're introverts, you can work to make them a little more extroverted. If they're too extroverted, you can work to make them a little bit less extroverted. But it's by observation, isn't it, Lorelai? Ooh, she watches everything, this one. Don't you? Don't you watch it all? Hmm?
What big eyes she has, all the better for watching you with.
I didn't hear a word of that. What did you say?
I said, what big eyes Lorelei has, all the better to watch you with.
Yeah. She doesn't miss much. Right now we have a digging KK. Hi, KK. Yeah. Hi. Where at? I know. Where at? There goes our voyeur, Snowball. It's funny because Pippa is not like that except when she's in her cage and he's playing with a frisbee. Then she's stuck on the side of the cage looking at him like, you're not supposed to do that. She always looks at him like that's the wrong thing. Maybe she wants the frisbee. I put frisbees in her cage and play with them for about a minute, and then she just ignores them after that. Where this guy, he's a player. He does that too when he wants me to throw frisbees for him. So he's probably actually kind of picked up that behavior because I don't always throw the frisbee. So he'll do it for a little bit and then he'll do something else. It is fascinating to follow their personalities as they grow and change. So
We have another question by Falcon Sue who wants to know, are parrots and cockatoos the only non-humans capable of using human speech?
Well, it depends what you mean by using, really, but there are lots of other bird species that can mimic human speech. Although how functionally they use it, I don't really know.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's the corvids and the parrots are the only ones that can actually use human speech, and they can do it contextually. Bob says good morning in the morning. He doesn't say it at night. He might have at one point said it all day long, but he only gets a response to it in the morning, so he doesn't say it at night. As far as I know, yeah, I would say that the only ones who actually mimic human speech or actually use it are parrots and corvids. Corvids don't do that much of it because not too many people have pet corvids. If you had a raven, let's say from when it was young, it would probably mimic quite a bit and possibly use human speech. We do
And there's
know in the
other,
law. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's other birds like starlings, which can also mimic human speech very well, although I don't know whether they actually use it as such or if they're just mimicking it. And there's things like minor birds as well, which
Minor
are
birds, yeah.
related to starlings. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely in the bird family that you're going to find the use of vocalization like that. We do know that the only ones who can dance to rhythm are those that can speak. So if you have a songbird, it may do what looks like a dance, but it can't do it to rhythm. But if you have a cockatoo and they can dance to rhythm, or you have an Amazon that can dance to rhythm because they can actually speak. There's something about the speech center. One scientist was doing that research. That's funny too, because before this scientist got into working with birds, when he was younger, he wanted to be a dance instructor. So his interest in birds and dance came together when I wonder if what animals can actually dance, and the only ones he could find were actually birds, and he nailed it down to what part of the brain is actually doing the dancing is the same part of the brain that's doing the speech. So you don't buy that, Snowball? You know?
Well, can you dance, Snowball?
He does dance, yeah. He dances, and I found out that this one does too. He has certain music he likes, though, so I was playing some Iranian death metal, and he was just having a great old time dancing to that. And strange taste in music, huh, kid? Well, remember, you can get to us through our link tree, and we have merchandise. There's cups with Peach's face on it. And yeah. Do we have a KK cup? Amy,
Yeah.
we have a KK cup?
But do I have a KK card?
Cup?
KK cup.
Yeah, we do have actually a KK cup. It's the latest cup.
I would imagine it would have to be the latest one because these are latest. KK. Hey, KK. She's
Yes,
sleeping now,
spirit metal, Iranian death metal. One wouldn't believe it. That distinct taste in music birds have.
Yeah. I don't know. He really got into it. I mean, it's got that Persian rhythm to it, along with the death metal voices, and really well done.
No,
Trying to
every
remember.
bird should have at least one cup.
Yep, they should.
If must have a look if something was kicked out, but I don't think so. So every bird should have a cup. Some
T-
have t-shirts, towels,
T-shirts, towels, yeah, bath towels.
glasses for drinking, bags, a sugar cloak.
The
A lot
sugar
of funny
clock
things.
for
Yeah, we've got
timestamps. Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
And there you can find our connection to Discord and to Telegram and Patreon.
I
So,
posted all the links just in the chat,
so as far as my notes for this meeting, which this episode, as it were, I will put up the complete notes up there so you can see all the different things I didn't have time to talk about. I try to post those on Telegram every time. Sometimes I forget about Patreon. It's just a little hard to post there, but I can post it, so I will. They've got some kind of a glitch over the last couple of weeks. I try to post up the meme in the morning, and sometimes it won't go, and for no reason at all. I keep hitting post, 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 and nothing happens, and then finally I get it to post. So probably because they have a lot more members than they thought they would once they made free accounts possible. That's my guess, but I don't know. Lorelai, you want to say goodnight? She wants to say goodnight. Now she opened her eyes. She was snoozing.
Lorelei.
You're a good girl, but you're alive. Well, I hope you found this useful, and thank you, Amy and Eleanor, for your assistance. And now I
Thank
think
you,
I'll put.
viewers, for coming along and watching and listening and writing your questions.
Yeah. And then once we're gone, I'll put on a little Iranian death metal and see if I can get someone I know down here to do a little dancing. Hello? Just
Hello.
Iranian death metal. And he's listening to it. Who is that? That's Cause. I don't know why Cause is crying. She doesn't usually cry that way. It took me a second to recognize her voice.
Maybe you better go and check on her.
And I will. Well, we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for being here.